The basic elements of bird control are similar to those of general pest prevention: exclusion, restriction, destruction, and monitoring. Preventing birds from gaining access to buildings can be a very difficult task, especially if they have been allowed to remain on site and have become resident. Birds are creatures of habit and very quickly become used to breeding or feeding at a particular site. This is known as habituation. The birds learn how to enter sites, for example, waiting for forklifts to enter under roller shutter doors before entering themselves. Birds tend to enter sites during periods of harsh weather to find shelter, and if not dealt with promptly, can become resident to the site, which will make their removal more difficult in the long term. The primary requirements for restricting bird activity inside or on a building is good hygiene and bird management. A breeding or feeding site will attract as many birds as can be maintained by the level of food or harbourage offered. Regular cleaning of food debris, covering and regular removal of waste from around and within buildings, preventing birds accessing bin stores or other waste storage areas are all vital elements of restricting bird activity. When birds are overlooking an area where a food source is available, they will roost on the highest points, as these areas afford them the best location from where to see the food or any potential predators. With this in mind, restricting them from these areas will make the site far less attractive to them, as they will be forced onto or closer to the ground where they are more vulnerable to attack from predators. Restriction can take many forms and is dependent on several factors. For example, the level of pressure or infestation on a site, the reason they are infesting the site, the species of bird, the type of building, and the surrounding environment. Once the relevant factor is identified, a solution can be found. Solutions could include netting systems, bird point, avishock, spring wire, laris wire, or daddy longleg systems. Our bird consultants will only choose the most suitable option for any particular site. Lethally controlling birds is done using physical means, such as traps, or shooting, using 2-2 air rifles used by trained marksmen. Any lethal control of birds is only carried out once approved by a specialist bird consultant. They make certain that the particular bird species can be lethally controlled and that all legislative preconditions have been met to safeguard our client's reputation. Lethal control is always used as a last resort only, and all other options will be explored first, which is a requirement of UK and Irish legislation. The monitoring of sites following the installation of a proofing system is important, as birds will invariably attempt to overcome it. With this in mind, Rentokil will assess the site at the time of the survey, and if required will offer a monitoring contract. This helps maintain any proofing system at the highest level of effectiveness, especially when the system is in an area of high bird pressure or where the system will be adversely affected by the elements.